You're listening to the Dungeons, Dragons, and Psychology Podcast. In D&D, the Cleric is at the intersection of faith, healing, and unwavering conviction, driven by a deep devotion to a cause or higher power. They dedicate themselves to serving others, offering comfort and inspiring hope. In real life, clerics are the embodiment of compassion, leadership, and an unwavering faith in the potential for good. I'm Robert Walker, author of Session Zero, the DMG to writing great campaigns in any system, and this is my show where I teach collaborative storytellers how to have more immersive campaigns using psychology. And today, we're discussing leveling up as a cleric, continuing our journey of leveling up based on D&D character classes in real life. If you haven't already, you can go back to the episode to download your character sheet. You can listen to that episode and the introduction episode to figure out exactly how this process works and how to follow along. Or if you've already done all that and you haven't downloaded your character sheet, you can find a link in the very bottom of this episode and just grab that and get started. Today, we're exploring how to cultivate some inner wisdom and charisma that defines a healer and a beacon of hope, both in the fantastical and in our own real lives. Clerics are more than just holy magic users. They are the glue that binds communities together. They offer solace to the weary, inspire courage in the face of fear, and lead the charge towards a brighter future. So to embody this spirit, we're going to focus on their key ability of wisdom and a secondary ability of charisma. Now, wisdom is their inner strength, their intuition, their sound judgment, their connection to the divine. It's the foundation of their unwavering faith, your ability to guide others through challenging times. And so a few ways you could develop wisdom, quite simply, would be self-awareness and reflection, engaging in practices like meditation, journaling, or personal assessments to gain a deeper understanding of yourself. This, if you are religious in nature or spiritual in nature, it can also be study of your spiritual practices or your religious practices. Emotional intelligence can help here too, understanding and navigating your own emotions as well as those of others. So reading books on emotional intelligence and practicing active listening can be very useful skills for developing that wisdom. And finally, critical thinking. Just don't accept everything at face value. Develop your ability to discern the truth from falsehood and make sound decisions based on reason and empathy and whether or not they belong in your core values. Charisma for the cleric. Cleric is an interesting one to choose a secondary ability for because if you've played a lot of D&D like I have, the secondary ability score for a cleric can be practically anything. Wisdom is important because it is their connection to the divine, their ability to cast their spells, things of that nature, but you can play the cleric in so many different ways. You can go strength if you want to be the tank wizard. You can go con if you want to absorb some hits and just be able to be hardy enough and stay alive long enough to keep the rest of your party up. You can do charisma if you want to be the postulizer. You can go almost any route with the cleric as a secondary ability, but I wanted to focus on charisma, their magnetism, their ability to connect with others and inspire them to action. In my mind, it's how you radiate hope and motivate those around you, which I think is a very core principle of the cleric. And in the real world, those are the quote-unquote clerics that we see throughout the real world. They are the ones that have the wisdom, their connection to the higher power, and the charisma to spread their message. What things empower the charisma of the cleric? Well, first, effective communication. You're going to inspire others with your words, either directly or in writing or in some fashion, but becoming a clear and compelling communicator by honing your public speaking skills or your writing skills. You can do this by taking a course or joining a club or even practicing amongst friends. Having theological or moral debates are a great way to work on your communication skills and further identify the things that you value and hold true as part of your core values. Next, there's leadership, guiding and motivating others, taking initiative in your professional or social circles, or volunteering for opportunities to develop leadership skills. Being a volunteer in your community is a great way to be a community leader, and it's a very cleric thing to do. Empathy and compassion as well. Now, this can fall into the realm of wisdom, but also being able to appear to be genuinely compassionate and empathic is sort of tied to charisma. The ability to put yourself in others' shoes and offer genuine support, the way that others perceive you doing that is tied to your charisma, your charismatic pull. So learn how to practice active listening and show sincere interest in other people's stories and their worries. And of course, being a positive influence. If you are a source of encouragement and inspiration, that is very much the cleric's path. Learn to project positivity and be uplifting to those around you with unwavering optimism. How do we develop this real-world cleric mindset? Every cleric needs a guiding light. How do you find your own? Well, first there is faith and conviction. If you already believe in something bigger than yourself, a cause or a higher power, or even the inherent potential for good in humanity, then you have a guiding light. It can be easy for you to identify what that is. But there are other ways. You can focus on selfless service. Clerics often put the needs of others before their own. This is sort of their hallmark. They cultivate a spirit of volunteerism and dedication to helping those in need. Challenges are inevitable, but a cleric can develop resilience through mindfulness practices and a strong belief in their purpose or following the faith and conviction that they have. And they do this through unwavering optimism. They believe in the possibility of positive change, even in the face of adversity. So they maintain a hopeful outlook and inspire others to do the same. As always, I have 3 books for you to investigate in our Rule of 3 to set you up with expertise in this subject. The first book that I would recommend for this is by Stephen M.R. Covey. He is the author who wrote The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, one of the best-selling business books of all time. But this book is called Trust and Inspire: Truly Great Leaders Unleash Greatness in Others. And it talks about the way that management and leadership has almost always been a command and control method, and now the model needs to shift to trust and inspire, understanding that people don't want to or need to be managed, they need to be led. And this is done through charisma and through proper management techniques and through inspiring others. So this book falls perfectly in line with the charisma portion of the cleric and being that inspiring leader in the face of adversity. And the next one is called Resilience: How to Grow an Unshakable Core of Calm, Strength, and Happiness. And this is by Dr. Rick Hansen with Forrest Hansen. Now, this is all about navigating with others, how to heal from pain and to keep moving forward. It goes into neuroscience. It talks about mindfulness and focuses a lot on positive psychology. Now, these are all those things that I'm talking about with a cleric: being mindful, having that wisdom to know what to say, when to say it, and being positive, being able to inspire others with your values and with the proper words. Also delves into how to repair and deepen important relationships in your life, and all very important things for the cleric. I mean, the cleric in the group is sort of the relationship hub, either between the divine and the people, or oftentimes they are the ones that are keeping the entire group going, moving them forward. They are sort of that inspiring positive force to keep everything moving forward. And the final book, one I'm sure you've heard about before, it is The Power of Now, A Guide to Spiritual Enlightenment by Eckhart Tolle. This is a huge worldwide bestseller. It's sold over 15 million copies to date, and it introduces the reader to the topic of human enlightenment for everyone. And it is, I think, a very, very important book for everyone to read, but it is especially true for the cleric journey because it talks about living fully in the present and understanding the true power of mindfulness. This is like the core of wisdom, is the power of mindfulness. So very, very important read for anyone who has wisdom as one of their attributes. I would recommend it to everybody, but if you're going to choose one book as a cleric to look at, this is the one I would highly suggest. As always, you can find the links to these books on Amazon in the show notes. You're welcome to order them for yourself, read them there, whatever you wish to do. I mean, I don't make any money through Amazon or anything like that, so I'm not advertising for them. However, If you're interested, check them out. What's so cool about the path of the cleric and leveling up as a cleric is there's infinite roads, infinite ways in which you can do this. It is really a journey of self-enlightenment and self-understanding. Now, you can radiate that into the world and you can inspire others and help others, but more than any of the other paths, the cleric is really about finding your own core values, embracing your inner light, and finding a way to do that to the degree that inspires others and makes a positive impact on the world. So the 3-month plan is very interesting for this because it can take so many different shapes. Like if you are religious, your 3-month plan could be very well focusing on understanding your religion and being able to speak about it more and share that message with the world. But if you're not religious, you happen to be spiritual, helping others have a spiritual awakening could be the path of the cleric. It could also be something as simple as practicing meditation for yourself and just further understanding yourself, or finding the good in humanity. It's very difficult to write this 3-month plan, so let us just look at a general overview of what could work in most cases. So for the first month, what you should focus on first is self-awareness. Spend a couple times a week either practicing meditation or mindfulness exercises or journaling, a way to develop a deeper understanding of your own thoughts, your own motivations, and your own emotions. You should also work once a week on reading books or online articles on emotional intelligence, or if you have a specific faith or practice or spirituality or value that you are focusing on, spend that time focusing on that. And lastly, in that first month, really delve once a week into your core values. Journal about what they are, why a value means something to you, what you would do if that value is challenged or changed or threatened. Find ways to integrate those values into your daily life and learn how you want to talk about them with other people. You should be journaling a lot during this process. In fact, the cleric journey is going to be mostly one of self-discovery and journaling early on. In that second month, you could work on practicing your effective communication, taking a public speaking class or working on active listening and clear communication. Have a friend tell you a story about their life, and then at the end of that story, see how much of it you can remember and journal their perspective and their feelings and their emotions on, not your reactions to what they said. Now, that can be important as well, but active listening means you're hearing what they are saying, not what you are thinking about what they are saying. Now, if a person comes to you and asks for advice, sure, it can be important to give a piece of advice, but oftentimes when you actively listen, you'll get an idea of what sort of advice they're looking for by the way that they tell the story. And if you're already only focused on your own feelings about the situation, you might miss what it is they're actively looking for. So practice that. It's part of building empathy, which is something you should also be working on in that second month. Now, this can be done through volunteering, reading about other people's experiences, and again, active listening is going to help build that empathy. And then, of course, you want to lead by example. This second month, find some way to take initiative. This can be like delegating tasks or inspiring others through your actions, but start being the example that you want to be. What does it mean to look like a cleric in the real world? How do you preach your message? How do you show the world your values and why they're important? And then in the third month is going to be that radiating of your inner light. Here you should be projecting your positivity. Practice positive body language, learn positive facial expressions, how to have a hopeful outlook, how to think before speaking and respond in ways that are not hurtful or antagonistic, but are instead hopeful and inspiring. You could spend some time during month 3 going onto Facebook threads and spreading positive words about people's posts and comments in a world that right now is just saturated with hate speech and negging comments that people just jump on to cause negative reactions and piss people off, try and be the opposite of that. Go on there just to lift somebody's mood. Say something positive. Be an inspirational light, something for them to find the hope in humanity. Inspire hope. Share an uplifting story. Volunteer in your community. Find someone who you can mentor and be an active mentor in something that you're good at. This whole third month should just be finding a way to make a difference. Identify a cause that you're passionate about and find a way to make positive change around you. Be that individual who brings healing rather than injury. That is the core of the cleric. How are you going to help heal those around you? And you might run into some roadblocks along the way. Burnout is one that's quite real. Helping others can be draining. So you have to remember to make self-care a priority as well. You can practice meditation or spend time in nature, set healthy boundaries, even speak with a therapist or a psychologist or counselor of some sort to help manage burnout. There's a common saying in the field of psychology that pretty much everyone who's a therapist needs therapy. And that is because the burden of helping others can oftentimes put the weight of their feelings and emotions on you. And sometimes it's very important to find a positive outlet to release those. You can also run into cynicism and disillusionment because negativity can be contagious and it can spread so much faster than positivity. But if you focus on the positive impact that you create and the inspiring stories that you share and the stories of others who persevere, that will help you deal with some of that cynicism and disillusionment. Now, the cleric, like I said, can take so many roads and so many paths. So it is difficult for me to give you an exact way to do it because it is your path. I mean, it is you serving the higher power and the higher purpose that calls to you. And it is not for me to say what that is or what that should be. But I think some universal truths are evident to all of those who want to be healers and positive influences. And if you follow this 3-month ideology, it will set you on the right way. That concludes our exploration of the cleric path. Remember to embrace your inner light, inspire others, and make that positive impact on the world around you. As always, cyclothids, I appreciate your listening and being here, and I am continuing to put out these episodes when I can. We have one more to go. Our last Level Up in Real Life episode will be the next one, and that's going to be Monk. So until then, we'll see you next session.